Darkest greetings for sci-fi and M. Night Shyamalan fans. Drew here from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond, and we got a couple of guests. My first guest is the woman who brought me to this earth, my mom, aka Robin Sparks. And our second guest is Mr. Jackson Harper. How's it going, man? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited because we've been planning this M. Night video or episode.
I have been trying to get Drew to do this episode for like a year.
Yeah.
Well, it's about time.
Yeah, well, I had other stuff, planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're here, and we're doing Knock at the Cabin, because it just came out on digital and Blu-ray, and I saw it in theaters, and I absolutely loved it, as you saw on my 60-second YouTube video, if you saw that.
Yeah.
I was just raving about it. Before we get into that, I just got one housekeeping thing. The next episode after this will be, for the 30th anniversary, my Jurassic Park review. And I'm really excited because this is my favorite movie of all time. And I'll finally get to talk about it in full detail on the channel. Yeah, so I'm really excited, and hopefully I can get like Eric in there, and I think I sparked Reed Lockie's interest in there. So
yeah,
so I'm pretty excited. I want to talk about some summer songs I like to listen to because this is a big summer movie in summertime now. I want to talk about our top 10 Spielberg movies. I want to make it a big deal. Much like the T-Rex in that movie. So be looking.
Can I just say how much I love Eric White?
Oh yeah, Eric's amazing. I freaking love him.
Eric and I have bonded over doing like the MCU films. And sorry, Drew, but Eric and we're the real BFFs here.
Wait, so you know the whole story about Eric, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I asked Drew and I asked Eric. Yeah.
He was my friend.
Yeah,
Drew, my son stole my friend. It's awful.
And I stole Drew's friend. So
good on you. I'm glad you did that.
Well, you know what? We live an hour away from each other, so we go to movies all the time. So you know what? None of boo-boo.
And I live in Florida, so
oh man, well, that's the same.
Too bad for all y'all.
But anyways, let's get down to the M. Night Shyamalan video. And before we get to Knock at the Cabin, let's talk about why we like M. Night Shyamalan. What about him is appealing to you? And I'll let you go first.
You can put me on the spot. I'm probably the one of the three of us who watched the least of his movies. I'm not for lack of not liking him, because I do like his movies. I think why I like him, I think because he does things that are, let's say, unexpected. And also just, even when, he first came out with his first couple of well-known movies, he really didn't care what people thought. He went ahead and was true to himself and told his stories the way that he wanted to. So I applaud him for that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Jackson? What do you like about M. Night Shyamalan?
So I saw The Sixth Sense when it came out, and my friend and I went to go see a different movie. We told our parents we were going to see this movie. And then when we got to the theater, my friend was like, we should go see The Sixth Sense. And it blew my mind.
Oh yeah.
As a 17-year-old kid, you go watch that movie. I just didn't even know how to process it. And then he came out with Unbreakable, and he came out with Signs, and then there was The Village.
Right.
And yeah, it's like what Robin was saying. you don't know what he's going to do next.
Mm.
Even when you think you do, you don't.
Yeah.
And I love that he is always him, except for a couple of times. You know, he did make The Last Airbender. He did make After Earth. But other than that, like, every movie he makes is so him, for good or ill.
Right.
Mhm.
And you can't help but admire that in a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm. I think why I like him so much is he takes a lot of the, I guess, suspense tropes from like Alfred Hitchcock and John Carpenter, Brian De Palma, and he puts them all together. But he did his own unique thing with it.
Yeah.
If you notice in a lot of his movies, he does this weird camera effect, and I don't know what it's called, but it makes it look like there's like a hidden camera in the room. So, for example, Unbreakable, I think one of the first shots is, like the baby shower or like Glass's mom bringing him home, and it's in a weird camera, like somebody set up a camera and is filming and them discovering that this child bone breaks easily, and it feels very intimate. And Lady in the Water starts out that way too, which we won't talk about how weird that movie is, but yeah, I just like that.
I really like Lady in the Water.
Yeah, I know you do, Jackson. It's pretty funny because that's how we met, was on The Fear of God, and they're actually coming out with their review of Knock on the Cabin the same week I'm coming out with this review on Knock on the Cabin. So, like, literally the day after that, they're gonna put that out. Like, I'm putting.
I mean, I was just on their show talking about Old.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent 2 years trying to get them to review that movie, and they took me up on it finally.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet. But enough dilly-dallying. Let's talk about some Knock at the Cabin. And before we get to the review, let's do the plot summary according to IMDb. While vacationing, a young girl and her parents are taken hostage by armed strangers who demand that the family make a tough decision to avert the apocalypse. So we'll kind of go around the room again, and we'll just give our quick thoughts, and then we'll kind of break down the movie a little bit. So I'll let you go first, Jackson. What is your overall thoughts about this film?
I love this movie. I really do. I know some people don't like it, and maybe we'll get into that as we go along. But I think this movie shows Shyamalan's expert control of suspense. And it also shows his expert control of actors. Dave Bautista gives an Oscar-worthy performance in this movie. And he's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, which I also love. But I don't know. This movie really got to me in my heart. I really feel it. I don't know exactly what that means. Maybe we can unpack that as we go along. But yeah, I just love this movie.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember before I even saw this, like, you were praising this movie to high heaven, and which got me really excited. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go see this movie in theaters. This is gonna be a theater movie for me. And I gotta say, it really got me to my core too, because I actually used to believe all this stuff when I was religious. Not to this extent, obviously, but I believed that God was going to destroy the whole world one day. And so that's why it affected me that way. So I'll let you go, man.
Well, I actually let's see. How should I say this? I actually did. It's not that I didn't like it. There were so many things about it that I liked while I was watching it. But then when it ended, my first reaction was, I hate this movie. Excuse me, because it didn't end the way I wanted it to.
No.
Again, is it M. Night Shyamalan, like, to his credit, because it gives you something to talk about,
Right.
But then, when I'm sitting and I'm thinking about it, it grew on me, and I really started to understand, you know, when I'm trying to dissect it. I really was like, wow, yeah, that was pretty brilliant. So, you know, in that regard, I really liked it. But yeah, I think it was just, you know, because I wanted things to be, I don't know why I would think that one of his films wouldn't be like tied up in a pretty bow at the end. But I almost wanted it to be kind of like, oh, what's that movie? Like The Village, where it's not what you think it is,
Right.
but this one was what you thought it was, and
Oh yeah.
yeah. So, but I did like it. There were so many things about it, the way it was filmed, and I guess we'll talk about camera shots and stuff like that later. But yeah, there was so much about it, the way it was made, the suspense, that I did really like about it, and I liked, and you could totally see his nod to like kind of like old school suspense, where I did love the fact that you didn't see such grotesque killings.
And this is like one of the R-rated movies too, so
yeah,
I think there's like
they say the F word a lot in this movie, which is not a normal Shyamalan thing. Like, he's a very PG-13 filmmaker.
Oh yeah,
but this one goes harder than most of his other films.
Yeah, and you have Ron Weasley from Harry Potter in this movie too.
Which, you know, I've been watching Servant because of the fear of God. And he's in that, and that show. Oh gosh,
I think his character here and his character in Servant, it's like night and day from Ron. Like, it is completely different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But anyways, let's get down to the main review. Now, I think the one thing I love about this movie is that, unlike most horror movies or thriller movies, it usually starts out, you know, kind of like a mundane, you know, kind of thing. You know, you introduce characters, you know, it's all happy-go-lucky. Or you do the Scream approach where it's kind of mundane, and then it suddenly takes, you know, a dark turn. But it's not really the inciting incident. It didn't motivate the main character, but it is, you know, like getting you ready for the movie.
Yeah.
This movie starts out with the inciting incident that moves forward, which I thought was interesting. And I think, I gotta say that first part, when there was all the pictures of like the apocalypse, that actually kind of scared me a little bit. I'm like, oh my god, what am I in for?
Yeah, I did really like with all the drawings, and it being on such like normal things like a bill or a quiz that somebody was taking.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So it's just, so you can clearly see that it's just like somebody in their day-to-day normal life, and like something was causing them to draw.
It almost it almost kind of reminded me of that movie Frailty a little bit with Bill Paxton, you know, when he, you know, sees all these demons.
Oh, Frailty. Oh,
like,
God.
That's a great movie. I love some Frailty. And then, like, the whole conversation between Batista's character, Leonard, and then Wynn, for some reason, it's very, like, calm and comforting. It's also very unnerving, too. And I like how you keep hearing, like, rustling in the woods, and, like, he keeps looking over, and, like, it kind of, like, slowly zooms in on the trees. Like, I thought that was real neat.
I also liked how he kept the establishment of the small to the large. So you, like, with his camera angles, you know, always looking up at him and always looking down at her.
Right.
You know, it was really good.
Yeah, and that's an interesting contrast because he's obviously bigger than Wynn, but, like, I never got the sense that he talked down to her.
Oh no.
Like he talked to Giles, like, hey, what's your favorite movie? Kiki's Delivery Service? Oh, I never heard of it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I know. I think that was sort of what was a little bit unnerving about it, is because the conversation was so almost angelic, you know, but he still kept him very big in the frame, because even when he came down to her level and sat down, the camera angle, he still made sure to put it up to make him, you know, look big.
Well, and that's what I love about Dave Bautista in this movie, is he's this hulking man. Like, he's enormous.
Right.
And yet he is so gentle.
Mhm.
Every word he says in this movie is gentle and kind, even though he's about to do some very unkind things.
Mhm.
He never stops being the second grade teacher.
Mhm.
You know, he loves kids, he loves people. And the reason that he's doing this is because he loves people. He wants to save the world. And we can get into that. That's a whole mess.
Mhm.
But his performance is never less than perfectly sincere.
Right.
He's really
Yeah, and then like I said, throughout the scene, you keep hearing the rustling in the woods, and then
Mhm.
he's looking over, and then there's a point where he says, "My heart's broken over what I have to do today."
Yeah.
He has to make this tough decision, and he looks over at the trees again, and then like three more people come up, and which
Yeah.
scares the heck out of Wynn. He runs back inside, and that's when you get to meet Daddy Andrew and Daddy Eric, with the already
Yes.
established.
Mhm.
And this is when the movie really picks up, because they're
Mhm.
breaking through like windows and like crawling in. And this is probably one of my greatest fears, is like home invasion. I do not like home invasion at all. I try to stay away from those movies. I still never seen The Strangers with Liv Tyler because of that reason. Because that's just
It's kind of boring, actually.
really.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. There are some really good sequences, but it's mostly kind of boring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did want to say to your statement, what was it? What's the line?
My heart's broken.
Yeah, my heart is broken for what I have to do today. Wasn't that very like biblical, godly, like God having,
Yeah.
Bible, I liked how it really kind of, well, if you didn't know what the movie was about, and
Right.
you were watching it and you saw the beginning credits, and then with him saying that,
Mhm.
and then of course, shortly after that, you understand why they're there, because they explain. But yeah, it's very, very biblical, establishes that very much in the
Yeah.
beginning. With, like God did the same thing. Like he was heartbroken
Yeah.
over what he was going to have to do to Earth, destroy it, or
Yeah,
whatever.
and there are a lot of religious themes in some like movies. I don't know if he's Christian, but I would imagine he has to be spiritual in some sort of way.
Well, I think if I can just interject with like filmmaker trivia, because that's kind of what I do on this show. Like, he's from a Hindu family,
Mhm.
but because he grew up in Philadelphia, they sent him to a Catholic school because it was the best school in their area. So he has this kind of mishmash
Mm.
as far as what he's been taught.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the best word to describe him is spiritual.
Mm.
He doesn't dismiss anything, but he also questions everything.
Right.
I'm so glad you said that, because to me, that is what it is that what he puts in movies, because it's not like slam in your face.
Yeah.
However, like it leaves you questioning things, and it
Right.
leaves you
Mhm.
asking questions, wherever you are on the
Right.
spectrum
Yeah.
of, religion.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like him so much. Another reason why I like him so much is because I'm that way too. I'm not religious. I don't call myself a Christian at all, but I do believe that there's some sort of higher power out there. And so I do have a lot of questions about it, and I think that's another reason why he's appealing to me. Another
Yeah.
interesting thing I like about this opening scene is when Wynn takes her two dads into the house and kind of explain what's going on.
Yeah.
Daddy Andrew says to Eric, Jehovah's Witnesses, which is big foreshadowing. Like it foreshadows, what's gonna come or what you're gonna learn about him. It's
Yeah.
also kind of funny in a way, if you don't know the information.
I've
Yeah.
heard, like I thought, I thought it was a funny line.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, these people again.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever been visited by Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun. I remember one time when I was a kid, these and I grew up out in the country on a dirt road, and these Jehovah's Witnesses found our house and drove out there, and they went into the house and started like an hour, 2 hour debate with my dad. And I remember I was outside in the yard playing because I was a little kid. And, and I went up to the van, and like there were two of them still sitting in the van waiting for the other ones to come out. I was like, "What are y'all doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, just teaching a little bit about the Bible." But in the meantime, my dad was just laying into them because my dad is he's very devout. He's a very devout Presbyterian, and yeah, these people, I don't know what they talked about, but they spent a long time talking about it.
In fact, when we lived in the rental house that we were in, there was a Jehovah's Witness that came in. Yeah, they even gave me a book, not like a pamphlet, like a whole book about
Oh wow, okay.
apocalypse and just,
That's crazy.
all this crazy stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, apparently, the movie critic on YouTube, Chris Stuckman, grew up Jehovah's Witness, and he even made a whole video.
Okay.
Yeah, it's some crazy stuff, man. It's,
The end of times, man.
They have predicted the end of the world like 5 times.
oh, really?
Yeah.
It's never happened. So
Yeah, and they even made a movie about one of them. So, so going back to Eric and Andrew, I like how they're kind of the opposite, probably as a result of their upbringing. You kind of find out through a series of flashbacks that Andrew's parents didn't really accept his relationship with Eric, so he's really angry, and that's why he owned a gun.
Well, that's not why he owns a gun.
Well, yeah, because he gets attacked by Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
Or Redmond, his character. Yeah.
O'Bannon. Rory O'Bannon.
And then Eric's mom seemed to be more accepting, so he had a more positive outlook on people. And that kind of goes into like the end of the movie, which I guess we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
That was real interesting. I think that's one of the things with movies is like I always take a movie for I'm trying to soak it in the movie when I first watched it, and then the second time I watched it is when I kind of discover all the little details about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Shyamalan movies are real good for that.
Well, the first time I saw this movie, I was a wreck. I cried the whole way through the movie.
Oh, really?
I did not want this horrible thing to happen to this family. I did not want this horrible thing to happen to the whole human race. I didn't want the invaders, if you want to call them that. I didn't want them to die. This movie made me feel so much for everyone involved. The second time, I watched it a couple days ago for the first time since theaters, and I didn't feel quite as much. I still think this is a really good movie.
Right.
And we'll get into Shyamalan rankings later. But yeah, this movie, I feel like it has such empathy for every character, every single one of them. Even O'Bannon, the gay basher, the guy, Redmond, if you want to call him that, the guy that beat up a gay man in a bar just because he was gay. It even has empathy for him. And I think that's the secret sauce of this movie, is that Shyamalan loves all these characters. And he wants the best for them, but the best is not coming.
Well, I think that is also a really good sign of a good storyteller. Because storyteller will have, they won't just focus on the main characters and you fall in love with them, whether they're, villain or angel or whatever,
Right.
Yeah. A good storyteller is where you can connect in some way to every character that so I think he does a fantastic job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like how all 4 of these intruders have a different personality. So Leonard, despite outward appearance, is very he's a big old teddy bear like Batista is.
Yeah.
Redmond he's a homophobe. He's kind of a dick douchebag.
He's a dick.
Yeah. Adrian is she's sweet, she's very motherly, but he's a little bit of a nervous wreck. And it kind of makes you wonder, is he like that like in her real life? Or is he like that because he's in this heightened situation right now?
Okay. Remind me, the two other characters, I don't quite know their names very well. So Adrian, is she the cook or the nurse?
The cook.
The cook, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no, I think she's just like that then, because that's how cooks are. I work around a lot of cooks, and they have a hard exterior, but on the inside, they're very soft.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you saw her in her element when she had cooked the breakfast or whatever.
Yeah, breakfast.
So
Yeah.
very calm in that moment,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that go back to the empathy thing because after when eats her food, she kind of puts her napkin and utensil like nicely on the plate, and Adrian says, "You're a very polite person. You're a good person." And I thought that was kind of go back to the empathy thing, and I can't remember the nurse's name, but I feel like I felt like she was the most stable out of all of them. She was the most level.
She is. She's the calmest during the whole thing. Well, except for Dave Bautista. Hold on. I'm going to look up the characters' names.
Yeah, it's driving me nuts. I can't remember what it was.
Well, I feel like
Sabrina.
Yeah. Well, I feel like with Leonard Batista, I felt like he was the kind like not to the sinister like John Goodman from like 10 Cloverfield Lane, but I feel like if you make him mad, he can snap at you. And that's why he was kind of scary.
Yeah, but he never does that in the movie.
Right, but but in the back of your head, you're kind of thinking.
Sure.
I still think he would do it and then apologize after.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like even because he apologized in the bathroom, like for doing what he had to do. So
But, he apologizes at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
The first scene, he says, "I'm heartbroken because of what I have to do today," and that informs his character for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, I love that bathroom scene when he's like the last intruder alive.
Yeah.
And like you hear him break the glass, but and then you see the size of the window, and I'm like, wait, he did not get out of there.
There is no way he fits through that.
The whole movie.
Okay, now we're going to favorite, least favorite. Then.
Okay, well, I will hold it then.
Yeah,
I'll hold it in.
No, but then it's like, oh, he must be behind the curtain, and you're just building it up.
You see, but now you're talking about it.
Yeah, but I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Okay, all right, move on.
Yeah. I gotta say that news report about that virus, like it brought up a lot of memories over COVID for sure. we're like 2 or 3 years removed from that, and so yeah, I think that was the part. That
this movie was shot during COVID.
Yeah, like 2020, like the height of it, like that. You want to talk about like things that kept me on nerve and traumatized me? That was the scene that really got to me, with them seeing the whole plague or the virus flu thing. That just brought back a lot.
It does crack me up because like it is very reminiscent of what people who talk about the end of times, like with the things that they were showing. I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is totally going to feed into like what they say, because like natural disasters happening first. I'm like, and things have happened, global warming, all of this stuff, and so of course people are saying, that's the end of times, and then of course when the virus hit, then it's like, oh, the end of times. And the only thing is like, airplanes falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
Except it made me kind of chuckle because I'm like, they have all these reports of planes crashing or not crashing, the near misses at the airports and stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's just going to take a couple of airplane crashes, and then the end timers are going to be like, see, that's God.
Right. Yeah, and I thought it was interesting when Andrew is seeing all this stuff, especially the plague, and he says, "Whoa, no! Like they've been talking about this for like months. Like, this is just a
Yeah.
coincidence that you're here telling us this shit. When this is going on? When this has been spreading for a while."
Mhm.
So I thought that was interesting to kind of keep it guessing, and then the tsunami, that happens quite a bit. It's a natural disaster.
Yeah. I have to say, I would have been the same way. That would have been my reaction if somebody was in my face telling me this. When, obviously I would think they were just like total cray.
Yeah.
But I would think like they totally just made those and like took like old footage and they put all that together to show us. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd be that person to the end. I'd be like, this is all fake.
Yeah.
This is all crap.
I'm like that in general when stuff like that happens. When say, like an earthquake happens, people are like, "Oh, it's the world." I'm like, no, it's a natural freaking disaster. It happens. Fuck it.
It's because we're screwing up the air and the environment.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. So before we get to theme, do you want to talk about the end of the movie and what was your feeling about it? Because I know you had a mixed reaction to it.
I did, and I mean, I'm basically kind of sort of saying the same thing, but it was just because because my attitude through the whole thing is like how I would have reacted, like it's fake, it's not real. So I wanted that to be what it was, because I was just like that. It was just so tragic to think like these people are dying for this. I wanted them to be crazy. I just wanted them to just be a crazy group of people and have that, what do you call it when like it's not mass hysteria, but when somebody talks about something then everybody starts seeing it and believing it.
Paranoia?
No, they talk about
I call it hive mind.
Yeah, something, but
Alex Jones.
Well, I just wanted it to be that, and then like I don't know, you find out at the very end like that, all of those news things were fake. Like it wasn't. However, was going to be tragic.
Right.
That the one dad had to die for them to be able to leave, and then that it wasn't real. So that's kind of. I was disappointed in the end for that, but like I said, after sitting on it, sleeping on it, or however you want to call it.
Well, you did sleep on it because you watched it yesterday, and
I literally did sleep on it. But I do. I liked it. Now I'm like, well, had it been tied up in a neat, tidy bow at the end, then it really almost wouldn't give you anything to question or think about or roll over.
right.
What you think. So in that regard, I do like it because I've been thinking about it, a lot today. And
it really pointed out the question about like what would you do?
For sure, because that's an insane and then it just made me like the characters so much more because I'm like, what an impossible situation.
Right.
Everybody was in. Like there wasn't a person on that screen that was not in an impossible situation.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, you want to go, Jackson?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What was your thoughts about the ending?
Okay, so this is based on a book. I have not read the book, but I have read about what happens in the book. So in the book, it's the girl that dies. It's Wynn. She dies because I guess Andrew pulls a gun and shots are fired, and she is accidentally killed in the crossfire. And the book ends with Eric and Andrew deciding, because when Wynn dies, because it's an accident, it doesn't count.
Ooh, way worse.
And so when Wynn dies, Eric and Andrew decide, after the four have killed themselves, they're just going to walk the earth, because any god that would demand this of his creation is no god worth serving. And I can't help but agree with that sentiment. I understand why Shyamalan wanted to change it, because who wants to see that cute little girl get shot?
I think it would just take
Well, but
out of the
but
end. Everybody would be so like that would be so heart wrenching. I would like not.
yeah, no, it was too much for a movie. So he changed it, and it ends with Boogie Shoes, which I love that song now. Probably not for the reason that the writers of that song intended, but I love that song now. I don't even know what to say about it, except it just, I understand the theme that the original writer was going for. I also understand what Shyamalan was going for. And so we can get into themes here in a little bit. But the ending of this movie, it wrecks me. It absolutely wrecks me. When they get in the car and start playing Boogie Shoes, and then he turns it off, and she turns it back on, and then he turns it off again, and she turns it back on, and then they drive away. Oh my God. It wrecks me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all.
Yeah. So you guys want to get the theme after that sad note?
I mean, it's a sad movie.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably one of his sadder ones out of all the ones I've seen.
Agreed.
Yeah, because at least like Sixth Sense, it is sad, but it's a bit more optimistic. This one just
Oh yeah.
It's sad.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit optimistic because when survives, unlike the book, but still, it's a little jacked up.
I know, and I think it still even gave you like a little question. I'm sorry, I guess I'm talking about the end of the movie, but it still gave you a little question on, was it really an apocalyptic, I can't say that word, apocalyptic thing, or was it really coincidental and things got straightened out? You know what I mean? Because there really could be an argument,
right?
I think, for that too.
Yeah, well, I think in the book it was way more vague. Like you didn't.
See, I don't know anything about it.
I mean, if we're taking the movie on its own terms, I think the ending is what it is. The apocalypse is happening, and because Andrew shoots Eric, the apocalypse is averted. I mean, I don't really know how else to read it.
Right.
Yeah, it makes me though,
Well, it's way obvious. It's way more obvious towards the very end because there's like fire going everywhere.
Yeah, fire going everywhere. Still,
yeah.
I don't know. It just almost makes you, I think somebody said it before about just not, I won't say hating God, but just, how could a God be okay with that? Like, how could a God do that to humanity?
Right.
Like, so it just, it still to me leaves that lingering for me, and
well,
purpose.
Go ahead.
I just don't, I don't believe that. And I don't like people in my face with that. And, I grew up, I don't know if Drew has told you our sort of background. But I grew up in the church. And my parents were the ones who, they weren't ever like super uber religious, but they were, I grew up in church, so I know all the hymns and,
same.
Most of the Bible. But then they kind of faded out and then they came back and then, kind of faded out. And so I think for myself, I've done that as well when I was making choices for myself, like teenager through adult. So I just, it makes me question things that I've always questioned, people talking about, that, everything is in God's time and God has his hand in everything. Right. And I just can't, and I just can't believe that, and then, his sister, my daughter, had leukemia. She was 3 years old. So I'm sorry, people, and that's when we were going to church a lot, and people in my face just still talking about God's plan, and it would just make me so angry because I'm like, there's no possible way that this could be God's plan. What has this child done in their life to be punished? She's 3 years old.
Yeah.
And so it always hit me hard. So yeah, I'm always questioning both sides, but am a lot like Drew in that I don't believe that we just spawned out of nothing. I think there is, I don't say purpose because that would be totally not what I mean. I think that I believe in spirituality. I mean, I believe that we are, I'm more of that we're all connected in some sort of, hence why I like signs. Because and that's what I mean by purpose. I don't mean like that it's, God pushing us and deciding our fate. But I think, we are connected in.
I like to think some things happen for a reason, for sure.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily like a God thing. I just think it's like just energy in the universe, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's energy. But for me, I think it's like you're given choices. You choose A, B, or C.
Yeah. And to kind of bounce
okay.
off. Oh, sorry.
But I want to say though, if we go with that in the religion, if they saw all of these premonitions and they knew exactly what was going to happen, then that's, I guess, my whole problem with the religion is that if everything has been decided, then why would you have choice? So like then the lady, what's her name? Sabrina, she would have known that she was going to run through the door and get shot if they had seen everything ahead of time and knew exactly how everything was going to go. They would have known that they were all going to die.
Yeah, and that's one thing I have a problem with. I do not think God is all-knowing because that removes free choice, and I believe we have free choice or free will.
Well, can I posit something here? I'm about to get all fear of God on y'all.
Okay.
I'm channeling Reed Lackey. Could it be that in this movie, within the construct of the screenplay, God is not the one who acts like God. The one who acts like God is Eric. Eric is the one that steps up and says, I will not let the rest of the world die for me and for you and our daughter. He's like, I will die. And he takes that whole burden upon himself.
It's Jesus.
And it's very Christ-like in that way. I don't want to make it like a one-to-one kind of comparison. I don't think it merits that.
Yeah.
Because just some background on me. I am currently not religious, but I am a big believer in Jesus. But God is not the one who acts like God in this movie. Eric acts like God.
Such a good
and
yeah, interesting.
And even though the quote unquote God of this movie is very problematic, just gonna destroy everything because this one family won't make a choice to kill one of their own. And that's not the God that I believe in. It's not the God that I worship. And I'm not saying I worship Eric or anything, but he acts in a godly manner. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up just talking about it. I told you, this movie wrecked me. I don't actually know what to do with it. I just know that I love it. So, Drew, I guess you probably have something to say right now. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah, I definitely got into theme. One of the things I've noticed in this movie is how trauma can sometimes blind our better judgment.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is Andrew has, and of course we don't know what kind of discrimination Eric has gone through, but we obviously know that Andrew has gone through some stuff with his parents not supporting him. And then, Redmond, attacking him at that bar. And then also he's a human rights lawyer, so he sees the worst in humanity. So he has a very pessimistic viewpoint.
Yeah.
So
okay, so wait, hold on.
No,
So pause there. No, just pause for a minute. So O'Bannon is Redmond.
yeah,
I mean, it is the same It is the person that attacked him.
It's the same person. They see his driver's license at the end.
Yeah.
His name is Rory O'Bannon. He's just going by the name Redmond.
Yeah, because he has red hair. He's a red man.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah. Clever guy.
It's not that clever.
Oh, it's not.
Come on.
That's very sarcastic. Very good.
So he does not, Eric or Andrew does not have a second thought, about a huge amount of the Earth's population dying over this apocalypse, because I'm not gonna say he takes an nihilistic view, but he's very pessimistic. Like, he really doesn't care if all these people die, because it's like their city to me and just everybody else. So like,
but he also doesn't believe it. So if he actually would he then maybe care? I don't know. I have to say,
he's being the most rational person in the movie. Like, these people are crazy and don't believe anything they say. That's what any of us would do, probably.
And I have to say, if I was put in that situation, and if I actually believed it, that it is such a quandary to put people in. But I have to say, I would probably be like him. I'd be like, I don't know, 7 million people versus killing my child. Yeah, I'm one of the 7 million people. Goodbye.
Yeah,
because I would say I could never do that.
I don't know if we'll draw on this a little bit, but I just want to also point out, I find it interesting that 3 of the 4 intruders, they come across as very kind despite them doing horrible things. And I think that kind of goes back to the whole thing about humanity and stuff like that.
And of course, the one that's not nice, he's the one to go first.
Right.
Which was justice. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
It's justice, yeah.
You guys don't have any more things to say about the theme. Do you want to get to favorite part and least favorite part?
Okay.
Do you want to do your favorite part, least favorite?
Okay, my favorite part was not really necessarily about the movie, it was just how it was shot. I loved, we talked about before, how he does what is that word? Unconventional. That's it. Unconventional shots. And love him as a filmmaker for that. Even when people poo-poo his movies and stories and stuff, I've always loved the way he shoots stuff. Like he plays with the the thirds, and he plays with the headroom, and just I think he tells a lot of his story through his camera shots. I don't think people appreciate that as much as they really should. I again love the nod to like old school suspense, that like that he slices his throat. You can see, but you see from here down. You don't have to see, like bone and tissue being severed, to understand the importance of that.
Right.
And of course, you have the sound effects. You don't need it. And just them when they killed each other, like you didn't have to see it. And I did love that. It's very Psycho to me, like you don't have, like I'm that, like taking a shower, like with the shower curtain. So I didn't need to see the gore to be terrified to stay over that movie, So in that regard, my least favorite, the bathroom thing. I'm sorry. That's just stupid. Nobody is going to think that man went out that window. He's in that bathtub. Even after you shot a bullet through it, he's in the bathtub. Everybody knows. cannot possibly think that man got out the window. So I hated that because I'm like, no rational, and he's so rational through the whole thing. There's no rational person that would go, oh, I'm gonna check, and I'm like, that's just stupid. That's just like the whole open the curtain. You know he's gonna jump out and take the gun, and I don't like because I like to, his movies are supposed to be you're not gonna know what's coming. That was a I know exactly what's coming moment, and that was very disappointing. I hated that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite part and least favorite part, Jackson?
Favorite part, it's Dave Bautista.
Okay, yeah.
He's incredible. Like, I just love everything he's doing in this movie. Least favorite part, I don't have one. This is like a 5-star movie for me. I love this movie. Yeah.
Come on, you gotta hate the bathroom. You know that was awful. That was awful.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm so invested at that point that I don't care.
That's good. That's good.
I gotta go. My favorite part gotta be the opening scene with Leonard and Wynn. And I also want to point out, going back to the whole old school, Steven Spielberg kind of thing. It kind of reminded me when he keeps cutting back to the empty woods. Like the parts in Jaws when they would cut back to like the ocean to make it kind of ominous. It's like, oh man, this shark could be anywhere, or
what's gonna pop out?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in the Halloween shirt. The empty streets at the end of the first Halloween, because like Michael could be anywhere. At that point, you just hear the breathing. I thought that was well done. So kind of an ode to that. Least favorite part. This is so minor. I hope this makes sense.
It doesn't.
No, well, I haven't explained it yet. So when they keep showing the different disasters and stuff on TV, they show the tsunami, and then the movie kind of goes on for a little bit, and then they show the plague or the flu. I wish they would reverse that and show the flu first. So something that, I mean, of course, a pandemic is catastrophic, but it's not visible like a tsunami. Like when you see a tsunami, like, holy fucking shit! I wish they would have done the flu thing.
So you think like the flu thing would have been less believable, so that it was apocalyptic, so that would have fed into the we don't believe what y'all are saying, y'all are cray.
Yeah, and then kind of build it up from there. Like after the airplane thing, if you don't think there's something going on there, like
I did love that they used that as part of the apocalyptic kind of like airplanes falling in the sky. Would that not be freaky if you were standing outside?
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this probably is set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because like Thanos probably just snapped his fingers and it disappears in the dust. Yeah, so that's my least favorite thing. I wish they just would reverse it to kind of build up the tension a little bit on that. Okay, so before we get to the top 5 M. Night Shyamalan movies, let's just go around just real quick and do rating out of 5. So let's go first, Mr. Harper.
It's a 5. It's a 5. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's 5. Well, I mean, we gotta make it fair. We gotta go around the whole ring.
Okay.
All right. What about you, Mom?
I'm gonna say I know you're gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna say it's a 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I like, and it's only just I'm just basing that on other movies of his that I've liked ones better. So this one's a 4 for me.
I'm gonna go in the middle. I'm gonna go 4.5. So, anyways, before we wrap this episode up, let's do our top 5 M. Night movies. And I'll let you go first, Mom.
I'm gonna say, you want me to go least to favorite?
Yeah. Or just like some you like. You don't have to be necessarily top.
Okay, yeah. I'm not very good at this part. So because I really only had only 4.
Okay.
I couldn't come up with the 5th. So I would say that that Village would be my least favorite of them. Then Knock at the Cabin, then Signs, then The Sixth Sense would be my favorite. And I mean, The Sixth Sense might be my favorite for a few reasons. In that one, it was the first movie that I saw of his. So
Yeah, same.
I just like was floored with it, like in a good way. Like I was just like, oh my God, who is this guy?
Right.
Like this is fantastic. And that was one where I had to see it again. Like I could not wait until I could watch it again, because I was like, because then you go back and go, oh my God, there really isn't anybody there. Like he really isn't there, and so that I just adored that movie for that. And then also because when I went to film school, it was one of the ones that I picked to do like an in-depth study of. So like with all the symbolism and so like for all that. So that one just has a little special place in my heart. So this would be my favorite.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I'll let you go, Jackson. What's your top 5?
So top 5, starting with number 5, we'll go with Signs. Number 4 is The Village.
Okay.
Number 3 is The Sixth Sense. Number 2 is this movie, Knock at the Cabin. Number 1 is still Unbreakable.
Ooh,
Unbreakable.
Interesting.
Stay alive, damn it! It's a miracle.
So my top 5 gotta go. Number 5, Unbreakable. Movie. Yeah, movie way ahead of his time. Before the superhero boom with Iron Man and Dark Knight. Number 4, Split. For a couple of reasons, because me and my mom went to go see it. Also introduced me to the lovely Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy, yes.
And I eventually watched Pink Queen Gambit, and I just fell completely in love with her, like a lot of people did.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Number 3, Knock at the Cabin, for the reasons that we talked about. Number 2, I always go back and forth between this and number 1. The Sixth Sense, because I relate to it, because I know my mom struggled a lot when I was younger, and kind of going through my Asperger syndrome, and just a lot of a lot of things in that movie that really strike home with me, and they're the watch.
Oh, see, now I'm loving the movie even more because I never really thought about it in that context.
Yeah, for sure. And then number 1, just based off the just pure fun. This is a fun movie to watch. Gotta go Signs, because if I know the world's ending, there's only one thing I want: is a cheeseburger with bacon, extra bacon,
and a tinfoil hat.
Oh, I remember that.
I loved. I'm sorry, I cut you off, but I loved all the humor in that one.
Well,
it's funny.
Because I remember my dad took me to go see Men in Black 2 back in the day, and they showed this trailer, and they cut to the kids in the tinfoil hat. It freaked me out.
I love that yours and Jackson's are the complete opposite.
Yeah.
So his 5
pretty much, yeah.
Unbreakable is one the complete opposite.
Oh yeah, for sure. So guys, if you like this video and you want to see more spooky and weird content, make sure you slap that subscribe button and follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Sci-Fi and Beyond. And also, don't forget to leave this episode a killer comment and a King Kong size thumbs up. This has been Drew from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond, over and out. Bye.